Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirit. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium. Thank you for tuning in for another action-packed deep dive of an episode in this week's show. I am absolutely overjoyed and tremendously excited because I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Kristina Bloom, all the way from the USA. And although we've gone through Christmas, it looks like we're in an idyllic Christmas setting behind Kristina there. So, Kristina,
Yes.
How are you? What have you been up to? And why
I'm
is there a
good.
fire burning bright behind you? That's the burning question, quite literally.
Quite literally, yes.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay. I'm doing really well, actually. And I am at a resort in northern Wisconsin. We've got several feet of snow. We've got a frozen lake, and we've got a fireplace. So, yeah, I set myself up in front of the fireplace here because I just thought it would make a really nice show. It's like I didn't do the calculation or translation or whatever, but it is about 20 degrees Fahrenheit here. So I don't know what that is in Celsius.
In real money.
Real money.
Yeah.
As opposed to the fake money that we have. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm wanting to
Exactly.
sing Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire.
There you go. I don't have any chestnuts, but
Oh, okay. So how have you been and what have you been up to? We're all intrigued because we didn't have an episode last month because it was all acclimatizing to the year of 2026. So
yeah,
how are you
and we're
finding it?
still acclimatizing to the year 2026. It has been an interesting road. As you know, I've been having some health issues,
Yeah.
and it has been interesting to me how spirit speaks through situations like that, bringing up old feelings, bringing up, how do I say this? I don't want to be negative, but I feel like I've just been useless, basically, because I haven't been able to work much. I haven't been able to do much of anything just because of, severe side effects to a medication and that sort of thing. So getting all that back on track and kind of almost feeling like myself again. So moving in that direction, I've got some events coming up that I'm excited about. Of course, anytime I get to drive, I'm excited, right? So I get to
Road trip, road trip.
road trip. Exactly. Exactly. It was about 3.5 hours getting here from home. So that was a nice little road trip. So, yeah.
Wow. As you know, that
Yeah.
would be considered as an epic drive here in the UK, but to
I
you, it's
know.
just like, oh, it's only 3.5 hours away.
It's only
What?
3.5 hours, but we don't have the amazing um public transit that you do either. We're too spread out to have that kind of public transit. So,
Okay.
yeah. So it does take us longer, but it's okay.
Mm.
If we can drive there in less than 10 hours, a Midwesterner will do that.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
a road trip and a half.
Yeah.
Puts us to shame
Yeah.
anyway. Well,
No, it doesn't, because you have a lot more traffic to deal with than I do because we're so spread out.
true, yet it can be
Yeah.
pretty congested. Well, I'm glad
Uh-oh.
that things.
My
Oh, no.
fire alarm is going off. Hold on a second.
Oh dear, the
Smoke
fire
alarm.
starter. Oh dear, she's put too much kindling on. So while Christina's doing that, we mentioned in our conversation about getting acclimatized to the year of 2026. And I don't know about anybody else that's watching this or listening to this, but it has been a very interesting year so far, energetically speaking, emotionally speaking. We've all been experiencing times of great change. And as Christina said, we've all experienced some of these old thoughts, belief systems, the way that we were moving into 2026, discovering the way who we are now, and considering making developments and changes in our life. And so Yeah, Christina, you said that you've been navigating through this year so far, and you've had to come to terms with certain aspects. But now you've moved through that, which I think is
Right.
very important point to make, because there's no point in avoiding these situations or going around the houses. The value is going through them and keep on
Yes.
keeping on. And I'm so pleased that you're back on the road again and you're
Oh, me
about to
too.
do an event this
Yeah.
weekend. Is that correct?
This Saturday, yes.
So
Yeah.
where are you at? Just tell the listeners and the viewers.
Onalaska, Wisconsin.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, it's a fair that I've done in the past, and it's a really nice group of people. So I'm excited, and I'll be sharing an Airbnb with some ladies, and yeah, so I'm
Let's
excited.
hope you don't get kicked out of this one. I'm just saying.
Right?
Just saying. I've heard the
That has
rumors
happened.
about you.
That has happened. It wasn't my fault, but it did happen.
Party, party, party.
Yeah. That's what happens when you invite too many friends to an Airbnb.
Oh, dear me. I wouldn't know about
Yeah.
that. But anyway, we're going to talk about today a very interesting topic that's dear to both of our hearts. And we
Mhm.
work with this every single day of our lives. And we're talking about today building a relationship with your spirit guide. Now, as you know,
Yeah.
those of you that are listening and watching will know that Christina is a fantastic medium. And I'm just a mere medium.
Oh, stop
I'm
it.
just a student of
Oh,
your amazing work.
stop it.
Oh, you'll have
You're
me
amazing.
blushing. Oh,
You're you're amazing, and everybody who knows you knows it.
don't. You'll
Yeah.
have me blushing. But anyway,
Good. Good.
so we're
I'm glad you're
talking.
blushing.
You love doing that to me.
I do.
So we're going to be talking about building a relationship with your spirit guide. So first of all, let's just mention for those people that say I'm as sensitive as a brick, spirit guide, I don't have a spirit guide. Let's dive
Mhm.
into that. We all have a spirit guide, whether we're consciously aware of them or not. What are your
Right.
thoughts on this, Christina?
I think my experience has been that we have several spirit guides. We have
Mm,
our main spirit guides who are with us birth to death, the entire lifetime. And then we have others that come and go as we need them based on whatever's going on in our lives. So, like when I was at university, I had some help with from spirit guides, educational spirit guides and that sort of thing. Um, I have healing guides, and I've been tapping into my healing guides a lot because they've been helping me to heal what's going on with my body. So there's a lot of that, so we have different guides at different times. I feel like we have relationship guides. When I'm listening to my relationship guide, my relationships are better. So,
fantastic.
and sometimes we have to ask for guides, and sometimes we have to fire guides. So,
Fire guides. Come on.
yeah,
Tell
yes, and
more.
not this kind of fire.
No.
Um,
You're
okay, so
out.
as
You're
I
out
can
your
give you
sack.
an example. I can give you an example. Okay,
Yeah.
so I was in a relationship that had become abusive.
Okay.
And in order to get myself out of that relationship, I had to move from being frightened to being angry. So a guide came in that helped me hold anger so that I could get out of that relationship. Afterwards, and for actually quite a long time afterwards, I didn't realize that had happened. And I was having difficulty in more relations because I was angry about everything. And so what my main guide eventually explained to me was that I needed to thank him for his service and let him go.
Oh, so he was still attached and he was bringing his energy into
Yes.
the new relationships. Oh,
Yes.
that is interesting. And I
Yeah.
suppose, he was giving you the gift of anger to use positive so that it would
Yes.
give you that momentum, that encouragement to move from that previous relationship and to get you motivated and, moving forward.
Right. And produce enough anger to be stronger than the fear.
That's an interesting example. I like that.
Yeah.
And I think you touched upon a really good point there about having guides that help you through college and things of that nature.
Another fire alarm. Sorry.
Okay,
It's the smoke from the fire. I got to go turn it off.
you go and turn it off. I'll continue my rant.
Okay.
So basically, I find it interesting that people come in with a specific set of skills and they don't know how they know those skills or how to fix an issue. For example, if you're having a problem with the home and there needs to be a DIY issue that needs to be sorted out, and then all of a sudden you don't know how but you know, and for some reason you'd never used tools before or you've never dealt with a situation in the home, and all of a sudden you'll have a skill set that will help you amend either a DIY situation in your home and you've never dealt with it before. I would suggest that this is part of your guidance system, potentially a DIY enthusiast guide that's coming in. I've had this directly from my late father, who came in and helped me with a few DIY issues around the home and planted some ideas and inspiration. So I found it fascinating that you mentioned about you received that help and that guidance through college, through
Yes.
specific guides. So, based upon what you've said there, guides help us throughout the course of our lives. Yeah, we have a main guide, but we have guides that come in specific times where they've made that agreement to do so. And we've signed them off and said, yeah, I'd love you to help and all of that. And then I don't like the word fired, so I'm going to change that.
Okay.
I'm going to use a theatrical term. They make their exit a stage
Yes.
right, shall we say?
But sometimes we have to ask them to do that.
Yeah, well, based upon your
Yeah.
encounter, definitely, yeah. So it's very much in our responsibility to be aware of what's happening, and it's nice that your main guide filled you in with that information with the relationship guide. I dare say if it hadn't have done that, you would have been carrying on that old pattern and taking him forward in every other relationship. So
Right.
fascinating. So let's talk about the introduction to your guide. How did your main guide, introduce themselves to you or you to them? How did that work out for you?
For me, it was in a meditation. It was when my youngest child was an infant, so I was in my early 30s. I had been aware that I had a guardian. Wasn't aware of who my spirit guide was. I had a vague concept that I had one. Um, but yeah, it came to me in a meditation, and I was such a doubting Thomas. I'm telling you, I was such a doubter. And I was like, okay, I know what I saw in my vision, but I want proof. And it wasn't too long after that. I don't remember the exact timing, but I had walked into a convenience store and they had some um, a turning display of
Okay.
greeting cards, and there was my spirit guide's picture right there on one of the greeting cards.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, I got it now.
What an
I got it.
introduction. That's a
Yeah.
showstopper right there.
Yeah.
Don't
I
get
was
better
like, all
than that.
right, thank you. All right, we got it. We're good now. And then I just, through talking to him, I learned more about different guides and the way that they work. And so, yeah. Oh my God, another one. I got to open some doors.
We've got a real fire starter here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. But I will talk you through the process how I was introduced to my main guide, and his name is Tom. And at the time, I'd be about 18, and I was going through a lot of experiences spiritually. I had no idea of guides. All I knew that I was seeing and experiencing spirits and energy. And it became obvious that something was happening. So I got introduced to a couple that went to a spiritualist church. And then they sat me down, they took me through a meditation. And in that meditation, they introduced me to my main spirit guide. And it was a beautiful meditation where I went into a rose petaled garden. And in that garden, there, through the mist, my main spirit guide came forward. We embraced, we shook hands. He introduced himself to myself and vice versa. And then we got used to our energies together. And then from that moment onwards, the relationship started. And it was a wonderful introduction. And I then began to get little bits of information about this guide, and he would tell me snippets about where he was from, what he did, when he was in his physical body, and whereabouts he was located. So it was a very, I would say, safe environment, like your good self there, Kristina, in a guided meditation where I got to meet my guides. And I must say, at that point, when I did meet my main guide, everything changed with my sensitivity and my spirituality. And it's almost as if it was a safety net, so to speak, in order to hold me there in that vibration and give me guidance, as the name would suggest, spirit guide, through understanding what was happening to myself, because everything was like 110% like on overload. All of the the physical senses were amplified. So that's how I made connection with my main guide. So how did you begin to understand your spirit guide's presence and awareness, and when they were communicating with you or around you? How did you begin to understand that?
Well, initially, if I remember correctly, initially he was just there all the time. Like he was just talking to me like you're talking to me. Like
Cool.
just yeah, just constantly talking to me. And I feel like it's kind of my personality. Like I always need backup, you know. I always need
Hmm.
like, all right, keep proving you're there, keep proving you're there, keep proving. And he just kept proving he was there. And as I was moving more into healing and learning more about energy healing, then other guides came in and I learned to work with them. And so it just sort of like one introduced me to another, to another, to another. And I think at this point I have about 13 guides, something like that,
Ooh,
for
houseful.
different things, you know? So it's
Wow.
interesting. We have committee meetings.
I like it. A board meeting.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to sit down and most of mine are Native Americans. So very often it's in a sweat lodge or a long lodge. And so that's where I'm transported to in my meditation.
Wow.
So
That's
yeah.
beautiful. Um, so for myself then, for me, like your good self there, Kristina, I always like that backup, that evidence that I'm not making it up, that I'm not going crazy, and I'm not.
Yeah.
"Ugh." And so right from the get-go, I established a technique, again prompted by my guide, of their presence, and this was understanding their energy signature, their energy marker. And
Okay.
when they told me that phrase, I'm like, "What are you talking about? Signature marker? Have I got to sign something on paper?" No, they're talking about pretty much. If I use the analogy of going to a cash machine and you type in a pin, and that pin is associated with your card. It's the same thing. It's a security measure, a technique. So they're talking about they were going to overlay specific characteristics so that I was on the understanding that, yes, that's definitely my main guide. Right, we
Hmm.
can commence communication. And so my main guide, Tom, is a Victorian gentleman from Cheshire, going way back into the 1800s. And he's got a thick, dark mustache, big, thick sideburns down here as well. And he wears a top hat, a black top hat. So every time he comes in, all of a sudden, as you can see, I'm clean shaven. I can feel this mustache developing on my face and these thick sideburns. And I get this chill down my spine. And I'll say, "Thank you, Tom. I'm aware that it's you. I appreciate that." So that was the understanding of my guide's presence. And it kind of put that restless mind of mine to one side so that I could connect on a deeper level and have that fluid conversation with them without worrying, who's this coming in? Do I know you?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it took all of
Yeah.
that out of there.
So I have a question about that.
Okay, yeah.
Um, Now I can see my breath because the doors are open. Um, Welcome to my world, people. Welcome to my world. Um, have you ever had a different spirit try to come in and pretend to be your guide?
Um, I know it's happened to me, but I can't pinpoint that
Okay.
exact time. Um, Actually, I think it's happened on Paranormal Investigations, thinking about
Okay.
it, but it hasn't been my guide. It's been like a spirit that's located in that area
Hmm.
that's made out they're a child or an elderly
Okay.
person. And I'm there sharing their story as they're sharing it with me. And I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. And I'm going through all
Hmm.
these motions. And then there's this feeling, this overriding feeling that kicks in. And I'm like, hang on a minute. This feeling I'm feeling doesn't match the information that I'm being told to share. Something's not right.
Yeah.
So at this point, this is when I'll call out to my guide Tom and I'll say, Tom, what's happening here? Why is this? Why am I feeling this? And then he will step in and say, we're glad you're paying attention, Glenn. They're not who they say they are. It's an imposter. It's either an entity pretending to be a child or an elderly person to gain your confidence so that they can either implant something within you or pull your vibration down. And so, to answer your question, yes, I've had it done to me, but not by my guides, by an entity or a lower vibrational
Right.
spirit
Yeah.
that's tried to take my energy. What about yourself? Have you ever had
Yeah.
that?
It wasn't my guides, but it was a different
Okay.
entity pretending to be my guide.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. It was during a drum circle, I think it
Hmm.
was years ago. And um, I just knew something didn't feel right. Something just didn't feel right. And so I asked a question that my guide wouldn't have answered the same way, would have answered a different way.
Oh,
And then I went, I don't know who you are, but you need to leave and you need to leave now. So yeah, that was the thing that I had. It was literally pretending to be a spirit, be my spirit guide. And I'm like, nope, nope, I'm
that's,
not buying it. I'm not buying it.
that's a liberty right there, isn't it? Doing
Yeah.
that. Crikey. That takes some brass neck, as we'd say in the UK. Some
Yes.
front, some brass neck to be doing that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it sure does. It's interesting, but how do you create, well, building bridges is what you put in the notes, but how do you build bridges to make sure that you know that you're talking to your spirit guide? And it's in the signature you gave me, but
yeah.
there's also bridges that build to other guides as well, isn't there?
I believe so. Yeah, it's like any relationship that we have, in the physical realm with friends, family, loved ones, partners. It takes time, doesn't it? And trust is not given, it's kind of earned over the
Mm-hmm.
course of time. And I would say continued communication with your guide and asking questions, listening, asking question upon questions, feeling
Mm-hmm.
into the energy of that. And I think I did a piece earlier today about energy doesn't lie. Where we're feeling into the vibration of the truth vibrations. And in many respects, when you're having these conversations with your main guide, there's a flow, there's a sense of ease and grace. When it
Yes.
becomes the opposite of that, a struggle,
Mm-hmm.
frustrating, we know that that information is incorrect. So that is a good tell. But basically speaking, to build that bridge of trust, it's just time, dedication, being prepared to listen. And in doing so, you learn, you understand, and asking the right questions as well, because we've all been there as mediums
Mm-hmm.
where I know I'm guilty for it even now, asking a question and then not being satisfied with the answer. Yet, what did I expect? I didn't ask the right question to get the answer that would resonate. So yeah,
Right.
it's all about that trust bond, isn't it?
And it's about building that relationship, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
that's how we create the trust bond, is by building
definitely.
the relationship. It's about knowing that when I call on my guide, who's Sam, that's his name, when I call on him, he's like, why do you call? I'm already here. I've always been here. I'm always here. All you have to do is notice me. You
Yes, that's
know?
interesting.
Yeah. So I don't feel like our spirit guides come and go, at least not the main ones. I mean, they're here to help us get through this thing called life, right? So
Definitely.
they're always with us. It's just a matter of, are we paying attention to them? Are we continuing to build that relationship even after it's established? Because relationships that aren't tended don't do well.
That's true. Something that I teach my students as well to utilize with their guides, and this is like obviously if you can do it when there's nobody in the home, but
Hmm.
speak out loud and have a conversation with them, and then repeat out loud what they're telling you, and then that way you're not in your head. You're not over analyzing, you're not overthinking, and that energy
Yeah.
and that connection is strengthened and it flows. And you'll actually catch yourself when you're speaking out loud what they're telling you. You'll be like, oh, really? I didn't realize that. What?
Yeah,
Wait,
I
I
got that
know
one
that's not
wrong.
me. Yeah, I know that's
Yeah.
not me making that up.
Hmm.
So it's a good way to, again,
Yeah.
enhance that trust bond and to get away from that internal mind of yours trying to figure it out. And at the early stages, as we know, we're continually thinking, is that me that's just thought that? Have I just made that up? It gets you out of that vibration and moving into that direct communication, doesn't it, with the
It
guides?
does. It does, either out loud or on paper. If you're someone who likes to journal, you can do the same thing by writing it out,
Of course,
putting
yes.
it out in front of you in black and white. That's kind of more where I go, is to writing it out. You, um, I have the two books that I have published were
Hmm.
all handwritten to begin with, because it
Wow.
all started out with just journaling. So yeah, but I know with you're with the dyslexia, it's easier for you to do it verbally out loud.
Yes, yeah.
And yeah, in which case I would have to record it or I'm not going to remember what's said.
Well, that's what I do, yeah, because I couldn't tell
Yeah,
you what I said 2 minutes ago. It's gone.
I
Luckily enough
feel
for the
that.
listeners, it's being recorded.
Right, right. So how do you establish boundaries though, like in the relationships with your guides? I mean, all healthy relationships have some boundaries, right? So
They
how do we
do.
establish those boundaries? How do you establish the boundaries?
I would say in the beginning, when I became aware of my guides, it was very much excitement central for everybody involved. And like they didn't understand the concept, no disrespect to them, of that our human bodies need to go to sleep and it needs
Yeah.
to recharge. So in the quietness of the evening, when I was just resting to go to the bed, next minute I would hear, you all right? What are you doing? And then there's come loads of people will be talking. And also in work environments. In fact, I was sharing the other day with somebody what did happen in the beginning. I was bombarded by lots of classic comedians that had passed on into the world of spirit. And I'd be there at the time I was a screen printer. I had my own little corner workshop sort of thing, be printing away these signs and giggling and laughing out loud to myself. There was only me there. And anybody that was in the other end of the workshop kept looking at me, gone out and saying, what's up with him? Is he all right or something? I couldn't obviously explain to them at that time because it was in the 90s and this subject was very taboo. And, I would probably be
Mhm.
burnt as a witch or something of that nature or thereabouts.
Yeah.
So, with this being said, it was just 24/7 continued connection with spirit, as we know it is.
Hmm.
But it was like there was no room for my own original thoughts or ideas. It was all direct line to spirit. So I had to reach a point with the guidance of some friends that were connected to the spirit church, spiritual church. They helped me to look, you've got to have that conversation, like you said, the board meeting, and say, look, I love working with you.
Yeah.
Really appreciate all the efforts that you bring in and the information. It's amazing. However, I do need to experience my own life and make some of my own decisions in this
Right.
dimension. So, can we say that on this day, at this time, or these days at this time, you have my utmost attention, devotion, and you have free reign to communicate with me? And so it was just by asking and being aware that because I hadn't set those boundaries, of course they're going to come in. Of course they are. There's no restrictions there. And of course, but that goes the other way, doesn't it? I suppose
Mhm.
when we've set these boundaries, I don't know about yourself there as a medium, but for me, it's worked this way. You've set the boundaries, and then you think, well, hang on, I need to go through a procedure to connect to spirit to get an answer. When we don't, like you say, they're there 24/7. It's just where we place our focus and attention. But the
Right.
boundaries are a way of us safeguarding our mentality, our physicality, and our, shall we say, energy body as well, so we can experience this dimension. Long answer, I know, but there's no short answers with me.
There are no short
Unfortunately.
answers with these, no. And also, being able to put down those boundaries kind of keeps us out of the psych ward, out
Exactly.
of the mental hospital.
So,
You know.
based around that,
Yeah.
how do you keep yourself out of the psych ward, the mental hospital? What boundaries, and when did you start
Oh,
putting those boundaries
oh.
into place?
Lately it's been like, well, maybe that would be a vacation, know. Um, I put the boundaries in place when I started trance channeling, actually, because
Mm.
after the first time I trance channeled, it was like the door had been blown wide open and all kinds of entities were coming and going. And I was like, this has got to stop. But the one that really made it stop was when I was, wow, my son was 7 and he was in the back seat and I was driving and someone jumped into my body who didn't know how to drive my car.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was like I was surprised they didn't haul me off that day because I managed to get off at the next exit and pull into a parking lot and I got out of my car and I just screamed, "Get out of my body," like out loud, "Get out." And I didn't even look to see if anybody saw me do it. I didn't even look. I was just like, no, you cannot do that. And that's when I decided I needed to write a contract with the universe. It's like I am willing to do what you're asking, but not all the time. There are some times when it's not safe for you to come to me. If you want to sit in the passenger seat and have a conversation, I'm good with that. You cannot jump into my body when I'm driving. When I'm cooking, heat, sharp objects, and people who don't know what they're doing with a physical body is not a combination I'm willing to play with. No. So I know I'm a little more direct and harsh than you are probably, but
You are.
um but I was a single mom with a small child. I couldn't endanger my child because spirit wanted to come through randomly anytime they wanted to. That wasn't okay. So but I also wrote into the contract, when you come to me and I'm not available, I will tell you, come back to me, at this time. And I didn't use the time on a clock, but it was more like, right before I go to sleep at night, you can come and talk to me. But then you leave when the conversation's over.
Wow, that is disciplined. I,
Well, I had to be. I had to be.
of course. I've got to ask as well, what did your son say in the back seat when all this was happening? And mum's shouting into thin air at nothing. Get
Oh,
out
he
of me.
sees. He sees.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
yeah, he's 25 and he still sees. So, um, I don't remember if he said anything. Oh, I think he said, "Do you feel better?" When I got back in the car. Yes, yes, honey, I feel better.
Did he say, have a
Um,
Valium, mum?
no, I don't think he knew what that was actually. But yeah, he did ask me if I was feeling better. Is it okay now? And then I think he said something about, is it safe? Like, is it safe to keep driving?
Oh, right. You
Um,
must have known then, like you say, seeing.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that was mine. Yeah. And that was also my method of protection at that point, was putting down the boundary,
Wow.
of saying, there's certain things that you can and can't do, and you have to respect the fact that this is a physical being. So
That is, yeah,
yeah.
it's very important, isn't it? Because
Hmm.
yeah, I've had experiences
Yeah.
where spirit, well, my grandfather stepped in. In fact, if you don't mind, I'll share this. This is
No,
very
yeah,
interesting.
please, please.
Um, basically, I was in a work situation, and there was a guy at work that was the sort of character, and I'm not judging people that are like this, but I'm just retelling the story. It was sort of the character that would tell on people and wind people up, and then go and tell the people above them so that he looked better than everybody else, and he came out all sunshine and daisies. And anyway, he was telling this tale, and he was blah blah blah, and I'm listening. I'm going, all right, all right, and I'm going into a bit of a daze in this conversation where he was taking the lead on the conversation. And the next minute, I just noticed that his face changed, and he went and held his face. I'm like, are you all right? He says, what did you do that for? I said, do what? I haven't done anything. He says, yes, you did. You picked up that roll of tape and you threw it at my face. I was like, what? Did I? I didn't. He says, you did. You just picked up that and you threw it at my face. And he had quite a large nose, so it hit him on the nose, and it stopped him from having this rant and this speak, bit of a slimy character.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't, I was arguing, I never threw it at you. Anyway, he was a little bit upset, as you would, with a roll of tape being thrown at your nose, and a little bit delicate around that area. And it wasn't, I was saying, well, if I have, I'm very sorry. I didn't know I did it. Obviously, I couldn't say that I connect with spirit, and this is. But later on that day, on the way home, I had a conversation with my guy, and I said, look, what was happening there? I know for a fact that I didn't throw that tape. It's not something in my nature that I would do.
Right.
Apparently, it was my granddad on my mum's side of the family that had heard enough of his BS, and he picked this roll using me, my physical vessel, picked a roll of tape up and just threw it at his face to shut him up, because he was talking a load of nonsense and just stirring the pot, so to speak. And
Yeah.
so, wow. And I was like, I said, well, I could have got into some serious trouble with that, and I said, well, I don't want that happening again. Thank you very much. So again, establishing boundaries there. That was so weird, honestly.
That
And
is weird.
I would have
That
put
is
money
weird.
on. I would have said, I bet you I didn't do that, because I didn't.
Right. Not in
Consciously,
your
I
nature.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
No, it was so bizarre. So we mentioned earlier, well, kind of alluded over the subject matter about asking the right questions to our guides. Now, you're the perfect person to ask around this, because you've learnt me so much, because I go around the houses, can you help me with this project, Kristina? I'm thinking of that email I sent you ages ago about working with me, and I went around the houses. And
I thought that was the sweetest email. That was so sweet.
I thought you'd say no, so I had to do it. But anyway, you're great at communicating directly with your guide. So can you give any tips to anybody listening? What are the right questions to ask in any situation? For example, if you're a reader, and you're asking for somebody.
Yeah. When I'm doing a reading with someone, they're like, well, what does my mom have to say? And sometimes mom is like, about what? What do you want to talk about? And especially in mediumship readings, I don't know if you have this happen a lot, but the people on the physical side of the veil are like, well, what does my mom have to say? And mom is on the other side going, that's not how we have a conversation. Conversations go two ways.
Nice.
And that's something that I try to get people to understand, is that it has to go two ways. The conversation isn't one-sided. And if it is, it's not an interesting conversation, right? So asking the right questions. Well, what is it that you want to know? But sometimes spirit won't answer that either. They'll be like, well, first I want to talk about this other thing. So and I've had that happen several times too. But it is important, especially, like if you're walking into a situation like an investigation, what do you want to know? What is it that you're offering them in order to get what you want to know? So a direct question is always better than is there anybody here? Now imagine you're on the other side of the veil and somebody walks into a room that you and maybe some other spirits are in and goes, "Is there anybody here?" And you're all standing there looking at each other like, "Oh, do you want to say something? I don't feel like saying anything." So maybe asking a direct question is a better way to get a direct answer.
I like that. Yeah,
You
get
know?
things moving.
Right, right. Like, is there anybody here? Well, yeah, obviously there are some of us here. What do you want to know? How can I help you? Like that sort of thing.
Well, it can move the conversation very rapidly, can't it? By
It
doing that,
can.
you can
Yeah.
find out their age, why they're there, the name, and have they been associated with that establishment for long? And
Hmm.
rather than saying, "Are you all right?" No, I'm
Uh,
dead. What do you think?
exactly. I was just going to say that. Exactly. Well, I'm dead, but other than that, I'm fine. Thank you for
Yeah, I'm
asking.
chipper. So
I
yeah,
don't have a body. I'm good. There's no pain, you know?
I can jump into you and make you throw tape at people. Yeah,
That's
I'm good.
right.
It's all fun at the fair.
Yes, it is.
So
Yes, it is. What
yeah,
about like what are some of the questions that you would ask?
with mediumship, working with a client, sometimes it becomes, I don't know about you, it can get quite foggy in there with a
Mhm.
communication, particularly if they're trying to match your vibration, you're trying to heighten yours. You can hear snippets of information and it can be quite like one worded. So
Mhm.
asking a question very quickly and being receptive of that answer is very important. So I always say to my students as well, um, you know, don't waste your energy, first of all, trying to beat yourself up in getting a name of that communicator,
Right.
because that will waste your energy. You'll get into your head, you'll start worrying that you're getting the wrong name. Instead,
Mhm.
build up a profile of that person. So I
Right.
begin by asking, are you male? Are you female? And I feel it, you feel their energy presence. So you kind
Right.
of know anyway. And then I will say, are you connected to the family? What side of the family? And again, we're building up that profile of that individual. I'll ask them to place on their mannerisms, their characteristics, and I just basically observe how my physicality is behaving. Am I slumped in my seated position? Am I sat upright? Am I have my arms folded at the time where I didn't previously? Am I noticing any facial tics, anything like that? And I'm just observing all of these things, and again asking
Yeah.
the right questions. I'll say, "Is that correct? Is that right? You did have that." And usually, I get a little tingle or a shiver down my spine, and that's usually a yes, that's correct. If that's not present, then I know that I need to go back in and ask another question, or display something else that I can question further. And so I build up that profile with the communicator first. And usually, when you get into the conversation stage where it goes beyond just like, hello, hello, blah, 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 and you start to learn who they are,
Hmm.
and build up that rapport with them. You give, like you say, you give a little of yourself. Hi,
Right.
I'm Glenn. I'm doing this, and this is your relative. And would you like to speak? They're more open to that. They understand why they're there, and it's a give and take thing, isn't it? And so
Hmm.
they give you information. And what I find usually, whilst they're giving information or you're repeating what they're saying to the client, I generally hear a name shouted at me in the back of my head. And so that name that we need for that individual has come in because the
Okay.
conditions are right there. But if I'd have gone in, first of all, what's your name? For me personally, I'd be up in my head too much, worried, and I'd lose that connection to them very rapidly. So I find that asking the right questions, that sequence of events, building up that profile enables them to bring forward that evidence and that direct communication forward. I would
Right.
say
And
that that's how I do it.
I try to look at it from their point of view too.
Mm.
Like if I was in spirit and somebody came in and started asking me all kinds of personal questions, I'd be like, none of your business. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, taking it slow, building it up, introducing yourself. I think that those are
Yeah,
important things.
definitely. So
Yeah.
understanding every aspect of their communication, your spirit guide, for example, because
Hmm.
as we know, they utilize every aspect of our physicality and our humanity in order to convey a message or to help guide and inspire us. So, for you, what's your experience of your guides communicating through you?
Um, I don't think that I still even understand every aspect of their communication, but I do know that if I go to do something and it's not the thing I should be doing, something stops me. They'll throw a block in my way. They'll, you know, you forgot your keys, or it's not time to go yet, so now you forgot something and you have to go back in the house to get it. Or um, if I'm not supposed to go to an event, I will get I'll get nauseous. Like if someone invites me to go speak at an event or something and it's not the right one for me, I will literally get sick to my stomach. So, yeah, that's part of it is that. Or I'll just get a feeling, I'll just get a sense that that's okay, that's not okay, you know. Um, if I really am not supposed to do something, I will get hit with some sort of like a headache or some sort of physical pain that kind of stops me in my tracks. But usually, yeah, usually they're just protecting me from myself and the
That's
things
interesting.
that I think I would want to do. I want to hear your take on that, though, the understanding the communications.
Um, well, relating to what you've just said, pretty similar actually. If something isn't in alignment with my truth,
Mm-hmm.
then I will feel that resistance, and I will get like we call them collie wobbles, where your stomach is like making crazy noises, gurgling,
Yeah.
unrest. You're wanting to dart to the toilet quite a lot as well,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just feeling uneasy, quite sort of paranoid as
Yeah.
well. To me,
Yeah.
that, like you've said, it's a way of stopping you, blocking you from doing something, or at least giving you that space in that moment to reconsider what you've either committed to or are about to commit to. So, yeah, I
Yes.
align with what you're saying there. But other ways that my guides communicate, a lot of the time it's direct voice in my mind. So, like thought processes, I hear their thoughts, comes into my mind, and we have that to and fro, that direct communication that way. They usually use the path of least resistance. So, if my mind's quite occupied and busy, they can't manage to communicate with me that way. They'll either show me an image in my mind's eye. Now, that image may just be so random, but it's only upon inspecting that image and symbolism then I begin to extract the message that they're trying to convey to me. If that's an
Okay.
issue, they'll go directly to the feelings. And if something feels right, like we said earlier, it flows. There's no resistance there. Something feels wrong or off, feels slightly uneasy and tetchy. And at that point, this is where you can, again, put your focus in on the way that you communicate with your guide and say, right, I'm experiencing this. Why am I experiencing this? Can you give me any insight on that? And you just hold space, hold that vibration for them. And again, they'll use that path of least resistance to bring that additional information to support and quite literally guide you through that occasion.
Yeah.
But they can use smells, tastes,
Yeah.
your hearing, your physical ears, your spiritual ears. They'll use all of your senses, understanding temperatures, hot and cold as well. And if we think about it, that is a means of communication straight away. If something is hot, it's like, yeah, let's go for it, man. This is hot.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Fire horse.
That's it. If something's cold, it's
Yeah.
usually like, I don't want to know, cold shoulder. I don't want to know. So
Yeah.
they will find a way of communicating with you
Absolutely.
in any way that they can.
Yeah. I'll get an
Definitely.
idea sometimes pop into my head, the claircognizance that they'll just
Oh, nice.
implant an idea or something like that, or, you know, and the other way that I know if how they're communicating with me is if something comes to me and I get excited about it, that feels like the right path, you know?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
and actually, you've got a project that you're working on, and I don't know if you're able to divulge into that at this stage, but
Not yet. Not yet.
when you told me about it, I could see the fire, the passion in your eyes. You
Yeah.
lit up, you had a new energy about you. So when it is
Yeah.
time, I'm so excited to share that with the audience there because I'm
Yeah.
I'm
I will
buzzing
be
for you.
too. We're a ways away from that yet, but getting there. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
can't wait, can't
Yeah.
wait. So let's talk about, we mentioned building up the relationship with our spirit guides and the way that we can understand that they're there.
Mhm.
Now, working with your guide in the form of a reading, how's that for you? What's the discipline and, what's the techniques that you use in order to do that?
Typically, when I'm doing a reading for someone else, I talk to their guides.
Nice.
Yeah. So I know when I did a reading for you and I connect heart to heart, and I saw you have a physical reaction to that. You were
Oh,
like, oof.
too close.
Yeah, basically. But I warn people, I tell them this is the way I do it. And then I ask permission to speak to their guides because your guides know you better than my guides do. So why would I ask my guides when I can go to your guides and I have permission to do so? Permission being the key. Got to have
Mm.
permission. You can't just go talking to other people's spirit guides without permission. That's like reading someone's journal. You just don't do it.
Wow, I love that. Something I've never considered, believe it or not, on this time.
Okay.
Connecting. I mean, I've said it to my students, but on a practical level, I generally go to my guides, and like yourself, I connect in with the client's heart chakra, build
Mhm.
up that connection, and then my guides work with all of the senses, and I observe. And if there's something that I'm feeling a little bit, unsure about, I'll go directly and communicate with them. Can you tell me
Mhm.
what this means, what that means? I would say working with your guide in the form of a reading is very much like you're dialed in. It's like nothing else matters. The room
Mhm.
becomes invisible to you. The
Yes.
distractions become invisible to you. And your primary focus is on holding that connection with your guide and your client. And so that in itself is a task, isn't it, to get into that
It is.
discipline? But when
Yes.
you have that, it's understanding the information that they're giving you and relaying it in a form, almost like a translator would, so that your client can understand what you're picking up and why you're picking
Yes.
it up. And again, it goes back to what we are saying about asking the right questions. So they may
Mhm.
give you a little bit of content for your client. And by directing the reading, asking the right questions, you can obtain more evidence, more information that your client can relate to. Because we've all done readings before where we start here and then from there we go over there and we come back down here, over there, and everything's like not in a format as such.
Right.
And it's
Right.
because I would say we're not asking the right questions and we're not focused in enough to
Mhm.
get that information. So
Yeah.
working with your guide on a reading, it takes some time to build up that discipline, and you begin to become familiarized with one another's way of working, and there's that respect there as well. So they'll always give you that leeway. I don't know
Mhm.
about your guides, but they'll always tell you off if something's not right, or they'll say, listen, we've told you once. Listen. They'll get you back on track.
They
So
do. They do get us back on track. And I know when I'm connecting with my clients'
mhm.
guides, my guides are right there. And if they need to step up and remind me of something or tell me something, they do. But typically doing a reading, I would talk to the client's guides.
That is interesting. It's nice that you ask for that permission and you get that
Yeah.
link, direct link with them straight away.
It's so much quicker.
I'm going to try that. It's something that I've mentioned to other people, but I've been so
Mhm.
stuck in my stubborn Capricorn ways that I haven't
No
evolved into
way, a
doing that.
stubborn Capricorn? I don't believe it.
No, me neither.
Remember, I'm married to one, so
Of course, yes, of
yes,
course, you know.
I know.
So let's look at working with your guide on a paranormal investigation. And this is completely other end of the scale
Yes.
mediumship, isn't it? So how do
Yeah.
you go about doing that?
First of all, I invite them.
Okay.
I invite my guides. I also invite my guardians because, when
Mm.
you're in a paranormal investigation, you don't always know what you're going to walk into. You don't really know like what kind of spirits are going to be there. You don't know if you're going to, see elementals or fae or whatever it is. So I always invite my guardian to come along too. Just keep an eye out. Let me know if something's up that I might miss. Because as you know, you've worked with me on investigations now. So
I have
you
indeed.
know that when I hyper focus, like boom, I'm right there and nothing else gets in. But I have my guardians there that can tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, might want to step back from this.
Mm.
So and my guides too. My main guide goes with me on every investigation. Make sure that everything is okay. Sometimes I will be on an investigation and smell sage when nobody's burning sage because my main guide
Oh,
is burning sage and clearing.
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
What I particularly enjoyed was when we was working together last year, and you picked up on fey vibrations, fairy energies in a location, and I loved the amount of respect that you paid. And obviously, you was getting guided to that location. Your guides would have. What was going through that connection with your guide as you was experiencing that understanding of the
Oh, I
fey
have to think
community?
back
Because I
about
found that
that.
fascinating.
Yeah, what popped into my head was they liked the color I was wearing. If you remember, I was wearing that kind of bright colored tie-dye shirt,
Do
and
yeah.
they liked the color, and I think that's it looked like flowers to them. So they were like, "Hey, come here and talk to us." You know? And of course, my spirit guide is always there with me. And I asked, is this okay? Because this is going to sound weird when I say it. I don't know anything about the Fae in the UK, having
Mhm.
never been there before. So I asked my guide, is this okay? Is it all right if I do this? And was guided to, yes, bring a gift, make an offering. So, and what was I picked like a wildflower or something? I don't
I
remember what it
believe so.
was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, something, and made an offering because my guide told me to. This is the proper way to do this. If you want to enter someone's home, you bring a gift. And I was literally walking into a fairy circle. So that's their home. So I brought a gift. But it was my spirit guide that reminded me to do that.
That was good. If you hadn't have done that, then I dare say the toing and froing of that interaction between you and the Fae community wouldn't have happened like it did on film.
No, it wouldn't have. It would have been probably very different and they would not have been welcoming.
Very hostile. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they can be. I mean, somebody just walks into your house and starts talking to you, you'd be like, who are you? Why are you in my house? And feel free to leave now.
Exactly. Well, you've
Yeah,
been very polite in your wording there. You'd probably say something a little bit more stronger than that,
I
I'm sure.
probably would.
I know you would. I've heard you. You sound like a docker at
I
times.
do. I do
Yeah.
sometimes. Yes.
If
I was
only we
raised in the woods, man. Give me a break.
drag through them.
Yeah.
Oh, dear me.
Yep. Mm,
So for me, then,
yeah.
working with my guide on paranormal investigation, it all starts from the time before I actually leave my home to go there,
Mhm.
where I ask them if I can do a bit of remote viewing in that location, take a few notes of what I've observed, and then I ask for that protection before I even get there, and anything that I need to be aware of. And then once I'm in the location, like yourself with the fairy community that you picked up
Mhm.
on, I asked my guides, where do I need to go in here? Where do I need to explore in here? And I listen, and they may say very directly, you need to go upstairs, the third bedroom on the left hand side. go and stand towards the window and you'll pick up a portal. They may be as direct as that. And so I just follow their advice,
Wow.
go to that area, and hey ho, there we have a portal. And at that point, I then extend that communication and want further information, why it's here, who's using it, blah, 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 information of that nature. But I would say for me, it feels more direct, more energized on a paranormal investigation, as you can, well, you don't need to imagine because you've experienced it, but the energies are heightened by the guests that are there. The energy in the location's heightened because they're excited. You know, it's showtime. They want to communicate. That's if you're respectful, that is. They're more than happy to do that. And so it's more direct communication, I find. And I think that it has to be because, you know, all manner of untold negative things could occur in those environments. So you have to be on the ball, paying attention, listening, trusting, and going. Because sometimes we walk into rooms and our humanity, if you like, comes in and we say, oh, I don't like the look of that. It looks very dark. It feels very damp in there. I'm not going in there. But our guides are saying, you need to go in there. There's somebody that needs your help in there. But I don't want to. Yeah. You're going. It's like a parent.
That's when we have to follow this vision and not this vision. Yeah.
Exactly. You're going.
Third eye, not eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say it's more direct than doing readings, and it's more heightened, and it's just more, you know, on point, and it has to be, I feel.
Yeah, it does. It does have to be. So what are your personal encounters with your guides? Like what's, or maybe with just spirits in general? I'm not sure.
Okay, with guides, personal encounters. My guides have helped me throughout the course of my life through some very sticky situations. And one particular example I could give, and this was probably a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
I think I was driving back from the south of England, and we had torrential rain and floodings. And all of a sudden, my sat nav was taking me on the motorways, and I was like, but there's a pile up here that, you know, there's warnings that saying that, you know, slow down and all of this. So I'm thinking, right, I'll come off the motorway and I'll go cross country to avoid what's going on the motorway. So I did that, and I kept going through these little villages. I believe it was in Leicestershire, and there were flood warnings there. And you go down one lane or one road, and the road would be cut off because the water would be about 2.5, 3 foot deep. You couldn't drive through it. So I'd reverse back, I'd try the opposite lane, and I would go there. The same thing. Farmers' fields were putting all of that floodland water onto the roads. And so I was doing this, and I found myself going around in circles. I tried every single avenue, and every single avenue had gone to this sort of dead end, you know, where there was, and I got really angry. And I said, oh, I've had enough of this. How do I get out of here? I'll be trapped. It's getting dark. And my guide just said, right, carry on going forward, take a left, you know, and I did. And eventually I must have wasted over an hour doing this, going backwards and forwards in this little village area there. But I finally got back onto the motorway, and the motorway traffic was moving. And what I did become to realize that this was done intentionally, because if I'd have carried on originally on the motorway, I could have been involved in a serious accident, a motor vehicle accident. And with going round, you know, for over an hour in these villages, it avoided me getting into that situation. And when I re-entered the motorway, I then saw behind me where that accident had occurred, and it was cornered off. There was police there. There was the services there. So there was a method in the madness. Even though it was frustrating at the time, I was very grateful for that experience. And it's almost as if they were holding me back, maybe messing with the electronics as well on the sat nav. So I was literally going around in circles thinking, hang on a minute, I've seen that church 3 times already. what the hell is going off? And I used a different road.
Yeah.
That was the reason. So that's one of the encounters I'm particularly grateful for with the gift of hindsight, obviously. What about
I
yourself there?
I have had very similar situations like
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah, where it's just get off the highway now, get off the motorway, just take the next exit. And it wasn't even my GPS or sat nav telling me that. It was literally in my head, somebody going, my guide saying, get off, go, just follow. Just follow that car in front of you. And literally, I followed a car who was apparently local to that area. It was not my local area, and went up right around where there was an accident, and it hadn't even started slowing down traffic yet. Like it was the accident was there, but hadn't started slowing down traffic yet. Took me all the way around and back up on the highway. But yeah, had I not gotten off at that exit, I would have been stuck in that traffic.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a very similar situation. And my guides have, they'll tell me go this way or go that way, and I'm like, okay. Before I had a GPS, I traveled around the country, and I would just ask my guides, okay, where am I going next? And they would literally take me right to where I was going. But apparently,
Wow.
since now I use GPS, I've lost that connection. Maybe I should try it again. I don't
Wow,
know.
that is impressive.
Yeah. That was, way back when, in the dark ages when we didn't have GPS technology. So
Wow, incredible. Just
yeah.
before we wrap up on this
Mhm.
conversation piece today,
Yeah.
we've talked about all the plus sides of guides, and
Yes.
it wouldn't be fair without us talking about some of the perceived, shall we call it? We'll cover our backs here. The perceived negative sides of working with our guides. So go
Yeah.
on. I'm going to throw you right under the bus, as I always like to do so.
I know you just get so much joy from throwing me under
Do
the
watching
bus,
you
I tell you.
squirm. Oh!
um yeah, there was years ago I was in a relationship that had become
Mm,
abusive and um filled with fear. Didn't know, first of all, I was financially dependent, which always scares me, because of a situation like that. And I was just frozen in fear. They say it's fight or flight, but it's fight, flight, or freeze, right? And I froze.
okay.
And I remember just asking for help, just not to anyone in particular, just going, I need help. I can't live this way. And sorry, that was my speaker cord. Um, and then I started getting really angry, like angry enough to say, forget it, I'm out of here. Obviously, not in those words. And it took a while for that anger to build up, a few weeks, maybe a month. And I finally just went, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I was fighting back to someone who was considerably larger than me, like 6'2", 6'3", very large person. And the anger just wouldn't stop. Like it was just like, no, you're going to get angry enough to get out of this. And that was a guide that was sent to me to be able to do that, to get me out of there before either myself or one of my kids was seriously injured or killed, right? So um it was a very difficult situation. We did get out of there, and that just kind of fell out into all my other relationships, family, friends, any new partner that might come along, or even someone I went on a date with, where I was just angry all the time. And eventually, and I believe it was in a sweat lodge, um, where I was meditating and talking to my main spirit guide, who said, you need to make that guide leave. It got you out of where you needed to be, but it can't stay. It's not helping you anymore. This guide isn't helping. So we did this ceremony, with my spirit guide or with my main guide and this other guide. And I was instructed to thank that guide for his service and send him on his way. And after that, I didn't have that big anger thing anymore. It went with him. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's incredible. So, in many respects, although it was perceived as quite negative in that moment, it was
Mm-hmm.
actually there for your greatest good. It was a catalyst to get
Yes.
you moving beyond your previous situations.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
So, but if you're not aware that that's what's happening, and I was not aware
Mm.
that that's what was happening, um, it's like, why can't I let go of this anger? Why am I still holding on to this anger? But once I understood that, and fortunately had a strong enough relationship with my primary guide that I could hear what was happening when he told me that, I was able to release and say, thank you for your service, and go help someone else who needs to get out of a bad situation.
Wow. Incredible.
So,
So you took that power back in that situation.
yes. Yeah. With the guidance, of course, of my main guide, because I never would have figured that out on my own.
Yeah, you,
What
you
about
assume that it's you, don't you? You don't
you
assume that
do?
it's external influences.
Right. So what about you? Kind of the
And
perceived negative side of
oh, I
guides.
like how you phrase that. Yeah.
Yes,
For
I'm not going to
me,
get either one of us in trouble.
no, that's the plan.
Yeah.
Um, for me, it's like either waiting around to get into relationships and being single and your guides are saying, yeah, it's on its way. Right. Okay. Well, when, it's
Yeah.
coming, it's happening. Well, again, when, soon. And it's like, well, okay, I feel something changing in my energy, but I'm not seeing it in my reality. When is it happening? We've told you soon. Ah,
But
and there's
their
this
idea of
level.
soon and your idea of soon are not necessarily the same thing.
Definitely. And I've had the same thing with finances as well, where you're quite literally taken to the wire with your faith, with your beliefs and your patience and trust. And again, you're getting one word responses.
Oh,
Yeah, your alarm's ringing again, is it?
no, I've got someone coming in.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Okay, alive,
Yeah.
living or non-living?
Alive.
Oh, okay.
Alive.
Okay. So yeah, other things are with the finances there as well, and you're taken to the wire where you have to hold space and stay true.
Mhm.
And yeah, 9 times out of 10, it's me getting in the way, not my guides. So maybe it's a lesson for me to not point the finger of blame at them, and I just need to relax a little bit more and stop. They keep telling me that everything that you need is already here, and you'll align with it at the right place at the right time. So you've nothing to worry about. Just trust, just live in the moment, and you won't have any resistance to these things coming in. It's only when you're saying when's it coming, you're building up that fear vibration, which is taking you away from it. So that's why it's not happening as quickly as you want it to, because you need to shift your vibration or home in onto that faith or patience. So
Yeah.
it's frustrating, as we know, we've all been there. So the lesson in that for me is to hold faith, patience, and vibrate higher. But that can be the frustrating thing when you're
Absolutely.
wanting help and guidance with your timeline from your guides.
Mhm.
They'll give you information for everybody else, but when it's for you, it's like
Yeah.
it's all gone silent. You can't
That's why
get.
you and I call each other.
It is, yeah. It's good to have someone
Yes.
on the end of the line, isn't
Yes.
it, to help. So
Yes.
that can be, but they've told me many times, and I bet your guides have done the same with you. You know, you've been given these tools, this gift to share with others. It's not
Hmm.
for self gain, so to speak. It's for the ability to share and communicate with others. So I trust
Yes.
that. But now and again, as we know, it would be nice. We're human after all, to have a little bit of a nudge in the right direction. And we do, let's face it, we
Hmm.
do. It's just because we're stuck in our heads too much that we miss those subtleties of their communication. So I don't
Yeah.
want to really point the finger of blame at them, but it's just something that when people do work with spirit, that they will all sort of say, Well, this happens. So I think we've come off that one unscathed with our guides, because I know they're listening. And they're changing my voice. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Thank you. So, Kristina, as always, I know that you're a busy lady. You've got lots to do. And I'd like to give you this opportunity now to share with the audience how people can contact you, how they can make a booking, or how they can join your online development classes, or where can they see you?
Okay. Well, I'm still not doing a whole lot of traveling. I do have that one fair coming up this weekend. But you can book an appointment with me right on my website, KristinaBloom.com. And there's a form right there that you can fill out, and it will send me an email asking, is this a good time? Basically, they're waiting for a confirmation. Mostly it's yes. My schedule with my grandson is now every other week, and schedulers don't go every other week. So it's hard to put on my website, yeah, these are my available hours this week, but not next week. So just go in, schedule an appointment. It'll send me a message and I'll get back to you. You can find me, you can find my shows, which you are a co-host on one of them on Paramystic Podcast. Yay. On All Access Network Television. You can also find it on Paramystic Podcast with Kristina Bloom on YouTube. I post all of it on my business and group pages on Facebook, which now apparently automatically goes to Instagram and Threads. I don't know how that works. Apparently, I don't know. I must have clicked a button somewhere. But you can do that to connect in and get an appointment made, request a class. I do post the classes that I'm teaching, and this will be a fun one, if I may, real quick. On the 17th, oh, that date again. On the 17th of February, I am teaching energetic hide and seek. So it gives us, it gives people a chance to connect in with people. Let's say you decided to hide somewhere on planet Earth, and I have to connect into your energy to find you.
I like that. It's like a spiritual Where's Wally?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, sort of. Yeah, it's interesting though. It'll be fun. It'll be a fun thing to play online. I've done it with some of my other classes years ago, and one of my students brought up, hey, we haven't done this in a while. So we're going to be doing that intuitive, energetic hide and seek. So that'll be on the 17th online. So anybody around the world can click in, buy a ticket to the class. So.
And there's one more thing. You haven't talked about your merch. Come on, plug your merch and your books.
My books are on my website. Okay. Right on the front page of my website. You can just scroll down, order right from there. I have a Intuitive You personal.
What is your website?
Oh, it's KristinaBloom.com.
There you go.
Just like it was a few minutes ago. And so my books are on there. You can order them right from there. My classes are always events on Facebook. So if you follow me on Facebook, either Kristina Bloom, your spiritual advisor, Kristina L. Bloom, spiritual advisor, or just Kristina L. Bloom. It's usually, you can find it on one of those 3 pages. My other podcast is Breakfast with Bobby. And we do that twice a month, again, through All Access Network Television. And my merch website is a Printify website, Pure Intuitive Magic, on printify.me. So thank you for the reminder.
Well done, Kristina. Thank you for sharing.
How about you? What do you got going on?
Okay, so anybody that's looking for spiritual guidance or readings or anything like that, you can book in with me directly, either going over to my social media platforms, clicking in the bio, clicking on the link there, and booking directly with me. You can also book in directly with the online spiritual development classes, which occur every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time through till 9:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, covering all aspects of spiritual development. There's also on my website the books as well. There's an audio book. There's 2 other books on there. And there's lots of spiritual development tools there and meditation. So just generally have a good look round. If you're wanting to click in directly with the website, just head over to www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com and you can find me and message me directly there. If you are on any of the social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you can find me on there. Come and join me. Join the party, be a liker, be a subscriber, and generally come and just join the tribe. You know, we're a happy bunch on there and we like to lift each other's vibrations up. So thank you for that, Kristina.
Excellent.
As ever, Kristina, it's been a blessing. I've loved this episode. We've really dived in deep with connecting with spirit guides and understanding them on a level. And I certainly hope that throughout this episode, people can learn and maybe embody some of the things that we've spoken about to make their lives flow with ease and grace with their spirit guide. So,
yes. And I apologize for all the fire alarms.
You're all right. You know, maybe that is a message in itself from your guide. You know, fire would be talking about passion, you know, an alarm. They're alerting you to the passions in your life and you need to do more of that, more what brings you fire, passion, light, enthusiasm, healing into your life. Alarm is obviously recognition.
Pay attention.
You need to do it now. Maybe that's the message for you whilst you're in your retreat mode at the moment.
Yes.
To maybe think about where you can add passion into your life and bring that joy back into your life.
I'm working on it.
I've gone into medium mode. I do apologize.
I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Kristina. See how good he is? See how good he is?
I'll go red again. I'll feel like a child of 5. No. Well, bless you, Kristina. I look forward to our next, is it soiree? Would that be the right time? Our next soiree.
Something like that.
Deep diving into another episode.
Into another episode, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And to all the listeners and viewers, have a fabulous week. And I look forward to connecting with you very, very soon. Stay blessed. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to From Beyond. For more information about what products and services Glenn provides, go to Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium